Welcome everyone to the Reignite Your Passion podcast. Here is Andrea, and today our guest is a spiritual life coach that helps people with their spiritual awakening and self-improvement. Welcome, Kartika.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. So how are you today?
I'm good. It's early here and it's nice. It's a nice day. It's getting cold, but
Mhm.
it's still nice
Where are you based
in
exactly?
in Canada. So we're gearing up for
Okay.
winter.
So pretty cold then. Pretty cold, yeah.
Not as cold as
Um,
it could be, but it's getting there for
really?
sure. Yeah.
So what is the minimum they can get? Minus.
Oh, it could go down to minus 30 sometimes with a windshield, minus 40.
Okay, nice. It's good to be in Greece then.
Yeah.
Um, how is living in Canada?
It's really good. I live in a city that I would say very much a melting pot. You have so many different cultures and ethnicities, and you're exposed to so much. And in that same vein, you're it is a little bit of a paradox where it makes you so open-minded and exposed to so much at such an early age. Foods and cultures and languages, it's great. And yet the rest of the world kind of doesn't look like that either. So
Okay,
if you go to even rural parts of Canada, it's not like that. So it's a very unique experience growing up, I would say, in metropolises and around the world.
beautiful. All right, so we dive deep into the growing up kind of questions. So give me a little bit of background of yourself.
I was born in Sri Lanka, and then we moved over to Canada when I was 2, and I've been here ever since. What else? I have a design degree, and then I don't know, it was an interesting experience. I enjoyed it, but I think what they don't teach you in schools is that what you do is very different of how it's going to be at work. And there's a whole different set of rules at work, which is something that I never got used to. And then maybe I didn't want to get
Mm,
used to it. So
mm.
that's it
So
in a
you
nutshell.
okay, cool. And tell me a little bit about what is passion for you?
Passion, I think for me is following what excites you, what lights you up, what like ignites this fire in you, and you just can't help but smile. And it's
Mm,
often sometimes even following your bliss. And it's there's a lot of it where it's just a feeling. It's like what are
hmm.
you naturally drawn to? What feels also comforting and like home as well.
Yeah.
It's this knowing where it just feels so safe and it just feels so aligned with who you are beyond anything that you can even articulate, which is why I'm probably having a hard time explaining this. But it's yeah, it's all of that stuff.
It's like a feeling. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, I agree. Can only be felt, really.
yeah.
And you say, what's your gift? What's your
That's a
gift?
really good question because for me, particularly because I think everyone does have a gift, but I always have a hard time um
Finding it.
or saying what mine is. It's just maybe a little bit of like spotlight. I don't know. I think I'm a good listener. I think I it is hard. It's hard to say what you're, but no, I'm a good listener, and I think I have a unique way of seeing the world,
Mm,
and because of maybe the way I grew up, or for many different reasons, I have this natural empathy and compassion for just human experiences. So I think I definitely, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, and I think it's a good thing, I definitely can go deep and can maybe see what's behind the veil. And that can actually make a lot of people uncomfortable, but I think people need it. And I think that's it.
Nice. How do you see the world right now?
Right now, I'm hopeful. There's a lot that's going on, that's destructive, that's hateful, that can give reason to be scared, and all of that is true. But I also think that people are fighting against it and pushing through it and finding innovative ways to sustain our planet. There's a lot to, like I said, just be hopeful for. And I think that's also another one of my gifts, is just to always find the positives, because there's always that silver lining.
Absolutely. I mean, like, if there is always the other side of the
Mm-hmm.
stick. Okay, so no matter how bad looks like, there is always the opposite.
I agree.
Exactly the opposite. So that's how the universe, I guess, works, right?
Yeah.
Love, polarity. Yeah, love it. And nowadays, what are you really passionate about?
I think I wouldn't even say nowadays. It's something I always was, but I'm really like stepping into it and making it my life and my space. And that is, I've always been a lover of story, in any form, and that's why I think I have so many different interests, because I could find the story in food if someone makes you something, or in architecture. But I've been always a lover of like film and books and TV and just music, and just finding that story. And I think right now I'm stepping into a space where I get to not only share my story, but hear other people's stories, and also create a community in a space where people can feel safe to share their stories and be authentic. I think a lot of us, or maybe I could just speak for me, I was living in environments where I was just having surface level conversations, and I wanted more. And and through my first spiritual awakening, I was allowed, I started to step into more of that side of me that I was kind of frightened to. And it came with a lot of sacrifice to step into this space. And I think, like stories and spirituality and wellness, and making sure that people are able to have the tools to step into the best version of themselves, really lights me up. And I'm really passionate about that. And also being able to share what I went through in hopes that it could help somebody else.
Beautiful. So that's what you do as a spiritual life coach.
Yes, and also a writer. I have a blog, and sharing through that way.
Nice, beautiful. I saw when I was, when we got in touch with each other,
Yeah.
and I saw that you are like you are focusing on spiritual awakening. I love that. So let's talk about
Okay, cool.
spiritual awakening. So what is spiritual awakening for you? What does it mean?
From my experience in research, there's different types, but I'll start broad, and it really means that you're living you're more connected to the universe, and you're living your life more aligned with like a soul's purpose, so what your soul wants, and then you're wanting to become more connected to that. And then you start to see and feel that how everything's connected between you and the water and the trees. And it's a much more gentler and loving sort of place to live through. And it's also removing and chipping away from the ego in your body and your personality, knowing that those are parts of your human experience, but that there's so much more, and there's a soul that's infinite, and there's a soul that's so much wiser than you. And so when you're awakened to that, you're awakened to the universe, the cosmos, and you're awakened to your soul. And that's a very beautiful and also kind of scary at first place to be in. If you're new to it, it could be isolating, it could be lonely, it could be like you could feel like you're going crazy. But ultimately, I think it's a really beautiful path and very, very rewarding if you stay on it and commit to it.
Why is it rewarding?
Very, yeah. Oh, why is it?
Why?
Because once again, I think it's work to stay on this path, and it was for me. So it forces you to do the work on yourself.
Okay.
It forces you to heal maybe the programming and the conditioning that you had throughout your life, from your childhood and maybe your adolescent years, which has shaped your thoughts. And maybe you don't have positive or productive thoughts. And as we know, our thoughts then shape our emotions, and our emotions then create our behavior, and then that dictates everything. So when you become spiritually awakened, your awareness kind of expands, and you become very aware of these blocks and barriers in your life, and knowing that it's actually stemming from you and that you have control. So the rewards are just more peace within yourself, and peace within your life, and acceptance and self-love, and a deepening into appreciation for the world around you, basically, of everything.
Wow. My next question was about how do you know when you are spiritually awakened? But I guess you kind of answer it. You feel more at peace.
You do. And you feel also like that you can start to distinguish between the voice that's in your head and this other knowing that's different from the one that's in your head. That's it's like we talked about earlier when we were speaking about passion. It's a feeling, and when you start trusting and surrendering to that feeling and strengthening that feeling, you can start understanding, oh no, that feeling actually is this entity, and it's part of me, and it's a soul, but yet it's not part of me, it's part of everything else. And there is a very different voice between that soul and your mind. And
yes.
I think I forgot what your question is. I'm sorry.
No. No. You just answered about like how do you know when you are spiritually awakened? So you just you say that you can feel like you have kind of two different voices, and you know for sure the one that feels right, and then you have this inner peace of kind of knowing, right? Knowing that that is the right choice, or knowing that that is the right things to do. And
that's it. And it's also, like I mentioned, it's to get to that inner peace, there is a road, and because at first you might feel it, and then you might lose it, and then you have to learn the tools to get it back. And that's ultimately what it is. It's keeping you on that path towards, like, how can you give yourself the tools to deepen into self-love, to heal your past and your wounds, so they don't keep showing up and blocking you from progressing in life. And how can you tap into creativity? How can you feel the sounds and hear the sounds of nature? There's all that stuff that you get to learn on that path.
Beautiful. And what triggered you to walk on that path?
Well, I had my first spiritual awakening was a sudden spiritual awakening, and there's different ones. So a sudden spiritual awakening usually happens after something spontaneous, like a car accident or a sudden illness, or in my case, the death of a loved one. And that's sort of what I was talking about. I had really no choice. I was just hurtled into it. And then suddenly I had all of these, this confidence and this peace and this silence in my mind that I wanted my whole life, but I got it just like that. And then I also started to hear the sounds of the universe. Like I started to almost hear the trees and hear the wind and hear, like, it was very out of this world, and just, and I did think I was going crazy. It was a lot of like, what is going on right now? And then a couple of months, it kind of went away, and that noise started to enter back in my head, and I got really scared because I was not in a good place before. I had a lot of anxiety, had adjustment disorder, so and suicidal ideations. So it was like scary for me. And but then that allowed me to start the work and start the research and knowing, oh, you could have gradual spiritual awakenings, meaning you're able to give that power that I felt, or that confidence and all that peace, to yourself through work, through a spiritual practice, whatever that looks like to you.
Right. Nowadays there is a lot about talking about spiritual revolution. So it's a kind of spiritual awakening, like collective spiritual awakening. Yesterday, actually, I was talking to somebody about it, and they kind of look at me like, oh, what? And so it's just like, so just wondering, what would you tell someone? How would you introduce spiritual awakening to someone who is just doesn't know anything about it? Yeah, and maybe he's interested.
No, that's a really good question and a good segue, because like where we left off was there's spontaneous ones, and that's something that you really have no control. So you can't force someone to have a spontaneous awakening. And oftentimes I really wouldn't wish someone to have a spontaneous awakening, because it usually comes with something tragic and awful. But with the gradual ones, I would say, if they are even asking you that question and they're approaching you, there is something in them, something happened in their life that's making them question something, or that's making them want to know possibly a deeper meaning to all of this, or what's going on. And it's that curiosity that you could hold on to. And from that, you could start developing you could ask them to start first by meditating. And when you do that through that practice, which is to, in basic terms, I won't get into it, but it's like just focusing on the breath and being mindful of your thoughts and your surroundings, and just always returning back to your breath. And you could do more advanced where you start chipping away at the ego and everything else around you. And through that practice, it just inevitably becomes, it makes you there are practical rewards you get, where you're less reactive, you're more present to your daily tasks, and you're able to do them with more intention and purpose, which is great. But then there's something else that comes in, and that's the unworldly part, where maybe you're having a different reaction and relationship with the plant that's in your house, or the pet that you have, or even the people in your life. Maybe you're developing more empathy and compassion, and maybe you're even hearing the sounds of your surrounding in a more deeper and 3D lens. And that happens, like I said, gradually, where you do the work every day. And from that, they can have a gradual spiritual awakening. But first and foremost, even if they're asking that question, there's something going on with them in their life, in their body, subconsciously, that wants to know more, and that's maybe pushing them in that direction.
If there is interest, that means that a door is open, or is starting to open. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Nice. If you could change one thing in the world, what would that be?
Ugh, that's a hard question. Oh man, there's so many things.
One thing.
I would, I don't know. I think I would get rid of it could be abstract too, right?
Yeah, fine. Even your car. Okay, I would like to change my car. Yes, sure. No, no,
Oh,
no
okay,
problem.
yeah. No,
No, no.
actually, I would remove all of our basic needs and desires and cravings for meat products. I don't know if
Oh,
you thought so just like our taste for meat. I just read this really cool book called Regenesis, and it's nothing new, but if we just all move towards a plant-based diet, um, then everything will follow suit. So when I'm talking about that, then even the government have to change their policies, the businesses have to change their business models, and there's there's just so much in it that will not only be beneficial for us in terms of our mental health and our well-being and our diets, but also obviously the planet. And there's just proof that we get so much more protein from plant-based foods, but also that those plant-based foods take less space and land than maybe cattle does. So all of that is necessary for the replenishment of our planet. So I would say that, and it's very abstract. It's almost like we don't even crave it. And if you don't even crave it, then there's no need for the production of it.
need, yes, exactly. And what would it be? Okay, beside the planet, what would it be the benefit for us?
Oh, sort of what I touched on. It's just overall, it's been proven that going vegan, and I wouldn't say I'm vegan, but I have mostly a vegan diet, but it's very good for our mental health. It's very good for our well-being and our bodies as well in terms of, let's say, our skin, our indigestion, like all of it.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah. I was vegetarian and vegan for a long time, and then I came back to meat, not eating much of it,
Hmm.
um, just just a little of variety and a good one, and it really does make the difference if you
It
really
really does.
balance. Yeah. Um, Especially for, let's say, the spiritual side of me, I can feel that I'm much more centered and calm, and
Mm,
I crave less on other stuff as well.
yeah, I agree.
So it doesn't make me slave of all the other cravings as well, and urges.
Yes.
So okay, yeah, yeah. Let's see, let's see. Let's send a wish. Let's see what comes up. So okay, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And what are the 5 things you're grateful for?
Mm, I'm grateful for my health. Sometimes something will happen and you have to, like, I have a lot of, because of my diet growing up, I developed a lot of just ailments, and stress is a huge culprit for a lot of diseases right now, especially a lot of autoimmune diseases. And so I kind of developed a string of them from when I was 25 until maybe not a few years ago. But and I look at these autoimmune diseases that I have, and they're not life threatening. And I have my
Mm,
limbs, and I'm able to still be independent in my daily tasks. I had like a rotator cuff last winter for whatever reason, and I couldn't do a daily thing like brush your teeth and like comb your hair. And so I'm grateful for that. And I really am just grateful for, even though I have to I have to be really restrictive with my diet, with my autoimmune diseases, and I have to make sure that I'm checking off certain lists to just keep me at equilibrium, which I'm grateful for too. But I can use my hands, I could use my feet, and I think I'm so grateful for that. I'm grateful for where I live. I don't have to worry being a woman of color about anything really. I am grateful for my family. I'm grateful for that I don't have to worry about where my next meal is coming from.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, and that's something people have to worry about on a daily basis, and they'll just even go hungry. And I'm honestly so grateful and feel so privileged to have this opportunity to take this risk and step into this new line of work and actually fulfill that part of me that not a lot of people get to do. They don't get to follow their bliss, or they don't get to, oh, I really love A, B, and Steve, and I would have loved to open up a store, but they don't get to because for whatever reason in their life didn't shape them up, either financially, family obligations. So yeah, those are the 5 things I'm grateful for.
Thank you. Thank you. Actually, listening to you makes me be grateful about all the things that you said. You know, having a meal, having a roof over my head, having good people around. So yeah, it's contagious.
It
You know,
is.
gratefulness, appreciation, it is contagious, and is probably one of the easiest way to tap into that spiritual awakening that we are talking about.
I agree.
Appreciation.
I really agree. And it also, it's more than even just being like grateful for you and this time here that we're having this conversation. It's a way of life. It's grateful also, like having gratitude also for the tragedies and the hardships in your life, and knowing that, you know, what all the goods that comes from that, all the growth that comes from that, all the learning and the healing that comes from that. It's just living in a state of gratitude, because when you're in a state of gratitude, you're mindful of more, right? And you're then, like I mentioned, like everything then entering into your life is something that you're grateful for.
Right. Well, I am really grateful that you came here today.
I'm
And
grateful that you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your service. Thank you so much for being you. And please do more don't stop, just keep going, keep moving, and give more and more and more of who you are and what you can give, and of your gifts. And
Thank you.
and good luck on your spiritual coaching.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And where people can find you.
Oh, you could find me at wildsoulbloom.com. You can subscribe to the blog. If you want any sessions, I have a 12-week spiritual fitness course that's really cool. And I'm over on Instagram at Wildsoul Bloom. And I also have a podcast that's called Wildsoul Whispers. And it's basically an audio version of my blog.
Nice. Beautiful. Once again, thank you so much for being here, and hope to see you soon again.
Thank you, for sure.
Ciao. Grazie.